Hi, this is Angel Krause, and this is my personalized leadership project for EDDL 742 in the spring 2017 semester. So for this project, I decided to go ahead and put together a PowerPoint, and I tried to load it into VoiceThread, but when I loaded it, it completely rearranged all of the slides, and so I thought I'd go ahead and do a screencast. So I'm looking forward to sharing a little bit about what my kind of action plan is moving forward, and I'll have to let you know a little bit about kind of the direction that I'm going before I share the action plan a little bit. So first, I wanted to just share something that really has guided me in the last 6 to 9 months, I guess I would say. So I was at a retreat last summer, and I was heading into my 6-year evaluation. And I really just was stressed, and I was concerned about how I was going to do in the evaluation process. And Chip Ingram, who's one of my favorite pastor teachers, was preaching at a summer camp that we were at. And he was just sharing a little bit from one of his books, and then I went back and immediately purchased the book and read it really quickly. And I think that this is just a kind of framework that I have adopted for looking at my growth that is needed and how I do self-evaluation. So he really focused on just that we are very stuck in how did I do, what do I have, and how much do I give. So how did I do is always we're works-based. What grade did I get? How do my scores look? How did I compete against others? What do I have can be material, it can be academic, it can be lots of different things. And then how much do I give? How much time do I give? How much money? How much of my talents? And he said we really need to reframe how we ask those questions of ourselves. And he suggests, instead of saying, how did I do, to who am I becoming, going into how am I using it. So instead of saying, what do I have, how am I using what I have, how much do I give, to why do I give. And so this framework has just helped me become a little bit more aware of my own self-evaluation and my growth needs. It puts a positive spin on what oftentimes I put a negative spin on, because I am an achiever at heart, and so I can get pretty down on myself when I'm asking myself, how did I do versus who am I becoming? All right, so a little bit about my action plan. There are lots of changes in the wind for me, and the changes are huge. It's not just a small, I'm teaching a couple of new classes, but I'm completely going from a different role. I am moving from an online program director to an intern coordinator. I'm moving from fully online to face-to-face, and just beginning to blend. I'm moving from a program that has 2 faculty members to a department that has 11 faculty members. I'm working from current teachers that I work with are all in the classroom, some even 10, 15 years. I'm going to be working with pre-service teachers who have little to no training. So I think just the changes have really helped me to begin to evaluate, how am I going to enter into this new role? How am I going to enter into this department? And so I think that this course is very timely, and that I can be very intentional about quite a few things that I'm going to do as a leader in the new division. So the first thing that I thought I would do in my evaluation and kind of setting up my plan is to look at my strengths that I rated myself at the very beginning of the semester. So I went back to the standards for leadership in higher education, and I was able to go through both the vision and goals section and also the hands-on leadership section, and just bring forward kind of those strengths that I identified early in the course. And I think that it's important entering into the new role that I really both rely on my strengths that I know that exist, and then also make sure that I'm still working in growth in areas that I identified as well. So these were my vision and goals category strengths, and then these are my hands-on leadership category strengths. And then when I was making my action plan, I wanted to make sure that I identified both my strengths and my growth areas, even within the same plan that I was making. So the areas of growth that I had identified included identifying what is happening to or affecting results Ensuring plans start with understanding performance. Again, it comes back to that achievement that kind of drives me, and making sure that people are measuring performance relative to the aims and what we're going. This new role provides an opportunity for me to grow in so many areas, but I have to make sure that I'm not chasing that grade or chasing that score or chasing approval, that I'm really working on who I'm supposed to become in this role, and I'm not chasing what others are or what I've seen in the past. For hands-on leadership, I know that I need to look more at people's strengths and help them channel their energy so that there's maximum effect. That I need to understand cultural differences. I'm going to be working with a different student population that I haven't worked with for the past about 7 or 8 years. So I need to really understand who they are and also understand who the division is as a group. And then also making sure that what I believe matters in teaching and research is really steering my work. I'm going to be moving out of a online kind of just approved or a department that really likes online learning to a department that's not as appreciative as online learning just yet. And so I have to make sure that what matters to me in my teaching and research is stays there, and I need to be able to grow in that area. So my action plan that I have developed is the first year. So I've kind of made a little acronym for myself, BMTM, and my first one is that I want to make sure that I'm beating burnout. I want to be able to manage my micropolitics as I head into the new division. I want to take in the terrain, and I want to look at meeting management. So for each of these action steps, I went back and I looked at my related standards. So the red are the areas of strength that I'm going to bring forward that will allow me to work on these different action steps. And then the areas of green are areas that I identified as areas of growth. So it was really nice to see that I already have some strength in some of these action steps, but I also have significant growth in them as well. So for each of these, I broke down and just kind of set a general timeline and then also some necessary resources or a focus. And so for me, beating burnout is really important. About 3 years ago, I was really struggling with this, and in some ways I still do. I'm very committed to all that I do, and I love what I do. I love education. I love working with teachers, and so I have to be careful not to burn out. And sorry, this is a little bit smaller font than it was on my side. I need to remember that burnout is not an individual's personal problem, but it's a social environmental challenge which is not mismatched and needs to be realigned. And that really just is a powerful, powerful statement that I've thought about a lot since first reading it in the course. Because when I often feel burnout, I tend to retract and not deal with the burnout, when in actuality I should probably be reaching out and trying to find out where is that mismatch and what can I do about it. Another thing I'm going to be intentional about is using Toggle to track weekly hours for a while. Toggle is a tool that I used during my 6-year evaluation when I was trying to say, well, how am I spending my time in a week? I feel like I'm working all the time. Is that the actual truth? What evidence would I collect to show what I'm working on and when? I want to make sure that I keep open communication with my new director. I don't want to try to meet expectations that maybe don't even exist. And I think that sometimes we do that a lot. I want to continue to keep a research and coursework schedule. This is one thing I struggled with this semester a lot. I had all these times on my calendar kind of scheduled out, and I never really kept to those. And I think that in the end that hurt, because I would then spend weekends not with my family but on coursework. So I'm really hoping that I can keep a research coursework schedule a little bit more strict. And these last two are just very personal for me. I tend to bring my lunch and sit at my computer and eat. So I really want to be committed to eat lunch with others twice a week in the cafeteria so that I can make sure that I'm getting out of my office, I'm connecting with others, and just continuing to build those relationships. And then exercising regularly, that's another area that will allow me to not burn out physically. I also want to make sure that I'm managing my micropolitics. I've actually printed out this chart and I have it right here in my desk drawer, as you can see. And it's just a reminder that micropolitics are going on all around us at all times. And I think first and foremost, I want to keep it real. I want to be who I am in all relationships, and I want to just really focus on the fact that I am real. I'm not doing micropolitics to pull the wool over anybody's eyes or to manipulate anyone. And so keeping it real is really important for me, both with my students and with my colleagues as well. I want to work towards building coalitions and networks that I haven't had a chance to build before, and also rekindle old coalitions and networks, because the department I'm moving to is one that I kind of started in as an adjunct, and so I'm excited about that. And then really think about how I can work towards shaping discussions and decisions. There are a couple areas I think of, specifically online learning and the inclusion of technology in face-to-face classes are two areas that I really want to focus in on for that. So I want to make sure I'm aware and managing my micropolitics. I also want to take into the terrain in my field notes. Using the examining the terrain analysis was one of the most kind of just eye-opening and informational kind of approaches I did to my journal. So I thank you for requiring the path ahead. So come Christmas break, I will have been working on managing my micropolitics and also making sure that I'm beating burnout. And so by Christmas break, I think it'll be a good time to kind of take a step back and to do a little bit more self-analysis. So I want to do the steps of the examining the terrain again for my department. I want to, at that time, review my course evaluations and also my mentor evaluations so that I can see how I'm heading into the next semester. Meeting management was another area from the course that really stuck out with me. And while the article by Lencioni was focused on kind of a workplace, maybe even a business workplace, I really was challenged to see how do I run some of my courses. Do I approach each of my courses the same, or perhaps are there different needs for my students at different times? And so I'm actually going to take a look at how this type of a format might work for a seminar course, and those are for student teachers who are in the classroom. How might I do a daily check-in with them? How might I do something similar to a weekly tactical or a monthly strategic, and maybe even a quarterly offsite review? Some of the teachers that are going to be in the seminar I'm actually going to be working with over the course of 2 years. And so I think it's important to not view every meeting the same, but to see how those meetings may have different focus. All right, so back to reframing my evaluation and growth. So I think I just need to really keep a focus on who I am becoming as a faculty member, who am I becoming as a mom, as a wife, as a friend. And I think that will help me just kind of continue on the growth path and not on an evaluation path that really can inhibit my growth. But I want to just kind of focus on who am I becoming, how am I using what I have, and why do I give? So this is a kind of a final closing, and this is a part of just a little document that I wrote a little bit earlier in this year. And so I'm not going to read it out loud, but I really find that through all of this, my faith really sustains me. And Gary reminded me of that in one of my journal posts, and I greatly appreciated that. Sometimes in the midst of everything, we forget to stop, we forget to focus, and we forget to lean on what we know to be true. So just related to the previous slide about how we look at ourselves and how we measure ourselves and create growth and action plans, is I want to make sure that I am looking at what I was created to do as a leader, not what others do and how they were created as leaders, because we're all so different. And I was just reminded of the church in 1 Corinthians about how we all serve a different purpose. And I just love just kind of this picture that God has put before us in 1 Corinthians, where if we are looking up to those who we think are better than ourselves, that we become envious. We think, oh, I wish I had their ability to write or research or teach a class, and we become envious of them. And if we look at others who perhaps maybe are new to our organization, or maybe we know that they're struggling in an area, we can look at them and we can become arrogant. And so I think I just want to continue to be careful as I'm leading from the middle, as I'm moving to a new department, as I'm kind of getting my feet regrounded, that I don't lean into envy or arrogance, that I work on avoiding those two, and I focus on who I am becoming in Christ and who I am becoming as a leader. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me or ask. And thank you again for being a part of my journey.